first tenet of pain is fear.
Dorale stared at his torturer through misted eyes. The homunculus wore a patient expression, like a teacher waiting for a sluggish student to catch on.
The first tenet of pain
is fear, said Dorale. His tongue felt alien in his mouth.
Just so,
said Corsair Vash with an indulgent leer. Dorale wondered how he could read his torturer's face so clearly. The homunculus had 6 eyes arranged in 3 lateral pairs. Its mouth was framed by a pair of tiny limbs which plucked at its lips to form expressions. Nonetheless, Dorale was sure it was smiling.
fear, as the ancients taught us, is the closest consort of pain. Without fear, pain is simply a bodily function, a condition of life, and so easily evaded. Pain without fear is hardly pain at all. An insipid, tasteless draught compared to the rich nectar on which I sup.
Corsair Vash loomed over the device that held Dorale and reached out a bladed finger to scratch a mark into the chair's bone arm. The Asuriani noticed a sour smell around the torturer, like stagnant water.
And what do you fear, son of Aitok?
It continued. The homunculus had the voice of a sickly child.
What horrors stride through your dreams? What is most precious to you? What do you wish to keep from me?
The mouth limbs pulled Corsair Vash's face into a taut rictus grin, revealing rows of polished metal teeth.
We will discover the answers together, of course. We have much to teach each other, you and I. The 9th tenet of pain
is understanding.
Good, Dorale, understanding. And we do understand one another, don't we?
Dorale glared at his captor, focusing upon the towering figure made his eyes burn with pain, but he could not bring himself to to look away. The homunculus stood against a wall of cluttered shelves. At this end of the chamber there were no implements of torture. Instead, these shelves were heavy with jars, alembics, and lock boxes. Pipes trailed from some, running to complex machines which Karsarvash monitored and tended. The devices gurgled and wheezed, breaking the chamber's silence.
I have told you of my library, have I not? And you have spoken of your worldship, of your path, of your family.
Karsarvash reached up to lay a blade-fingered hand upon one of the frosted jars. The torturer's eyes closed.
I have shared my greatest treasures with you, Dorale. My collection includes morsels from many of Comora's luminaries. Each is a security against the benefactor's misfortune. If the slave taker, Lord Equivex, should be brought low by one of his many rivals, for example, I have a finger bone here that holds little of his essence. It would take some time, but I could grow the slave lord anew, that he might take revenge upon his assassin.
The homunculus shook, grafted ribs rippling along its back with peristaltic motion. Somehow, Dorale knew Karsarvash was laughing. But how? Had he seen this before? The craft worlder realized he could not recall how long he had been held captive.
Equifax might come to regret the ambiguity of our agreement,
the torturer continued.
were he to awaken here, but I digress.
The homunculus straightened, its eyes opening as it focused upon its victim once more.
There is also a little of you in my collection, and a little of me.
Dorale strained to check his own fingers, but his hands were bound in black synth gloves studded with pain receptors. What had Karsarvash taken?
Through my art, life and death are mine to command.
The homunculus said.
My guests never escape my attentions unless I will it. They may die 1,000 times, but they're still mine. That is why I speak of understanding, Dorale. Understand. I have shared much with you, but you have kept something from me. I will not let this pass. The 17th tenet of pain.
Hope. The 17th tenet. is hope. Darrell sobbed. His words were slurred. His tongue seemed to shape syllables before his mind could form them.
Yes, yes. What hope is it you cling to?
Darrell ached to look away, but the homunculus had long since removed his eyelids, and the restraint kept him from turning his head.
Your faith? You think yourself clever, but I know you inside and out. You've given yourself to Uniad, the great uniter.
The scorn in Corsar Vash's voice stung Darrell's ears. Blood ran down his jaw and dripped onto his chest. Darrell stared at his captor, saying nothing. The sutures in the torturer's forehead strained as its primary brows raised in surprise.
You do. You think your spirit is his. You believe he will steal you away, will take your being into himself when your time here is done.
The homunculus laughed once more, acids dribbling from its slack mouth as it shook its head.
Such fragile hope. You are certainly dying, Inari, but you are mine, now and always.
No, said Darrell, around the ruin of his teeth. I have sworn my soul to him. In death I will join the unity, the infinite spirit, and what remains of my body will become so much dust. Whatever grisly trophy you have taken from me will be naught but ashes. I will have escaped you, flesh merchant, and I will serve Uniad in death. The torturer stepped forward, its head tilted to one side. Corsar Vash's eyes blinked in sequence as it raised a venom-laced blade, and its child voice was tight with anger.
Let us see, then. Your life ends here, Darrell. Your pain will not.
You free me, torturer. Great Inyad, take me.
The first tenet of pain is fear.
Darrell looked at his torturer, blinking raw eyelids to clear his misted eyes. The creature was smiling, though he could not say how he was able to read its expression. How long had he been here? Surely he must die soon. Inyad would claim his soul, and he would know no more pain. Corsar Vash leaned forward and added one more nick to the arm of Darrell's chair. A surface scarred by scores of shallow cuts. By contrast, the craft worlder noticed his own arm was whole once more, the skin flushed and free of marks.
The first tenet of pain
is fear, said Darrell.